Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
My name is Bryce Runge.
And you're over there having a Werther's Original. Didn't even offer me one.
Yes, I did, you frickin' liar.
Sorry, I shouldn't.
Literally, and there's two people here. There's two witnesses, myself and Suzanne.
Yeah, but, you know, she's going to side with you all the time, regardless.
That's right.
And so, therefore, is it really a reliable witness?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a great character witness.
Couldn't hold up in a court of law, not under cross-examination, baby. So, how you doing today?
I was fine until you showed up with your negative Nelly attitude.
Well, it is stormy outside. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Dude, did you see those clouds?
I tell you what, you know, when they say April showers bring May flowers, I wonder what May storms bring.
Unfortunately, tornadoes.
Well, we do live in, you know, though, they say Tornado Alley has shifted, that it's not just so much the Midwest as much now as it is moving east.
Really?
That it goes, you know, into the Rust Belt of Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, then through Tennessee, Kentucky, where they used to not get them very often. They're getting them way more regularly.
I was about to say, that's why we've seen an increase in those areas. Yeah.
So I guess trailer parks in those parts of the country need to worry.
Yeah.
So maybe. Yeah. So, okay. I got a fast question for you. I think I know the answer to this, but you ever been in a relationship that you wondered why you were in one? You ever dated a girl that you're going, I don't know if I ought to be dating her?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. And I'm not talking about, you know, she who shall not be named that you were divorced from.
Oh, I get you.
I'm talking, you know, before that, in high school, you know, when you were going to college. Do you ever work someplace that you're wondering, ooh, is this really where I want to work? I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you want me to describe it, or like, what are you asking me for?
No, I'm just.
I will say this though. This is funny. That wasn't funny to her.
You ghosted her?
Well, no, she, and it wasn't very. I guess you could tell me how you would have handled this. So I was you probably would have. So I'm at Fullerton Junior College. I'm big time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably in the best shape of my life. And, you know, I mean, I was attractive. I still am attractive. I was a lot more attractive back then. Okay.
You had more hair.
And so, actually, it was the same. I've had this hairstyle forever.
Really?
Since I went, well, except for that little phase a few years back where I had the top long and the sides around, all that shave. You remember that?
Well, a little bit. Well, I got a wedding photo that you have way more hair than you do now.
Oh, yeah. It was a little bit longer then. Anyways, back to my story. And, you know, I had, there was some girls that were attracted to me. And there was one that I was like, yeah, I think we'll maybe start hanging out. We started dating. And when I was working at Valencia High School, I was campus security. And I remember I was telling a friend at the time that I worked with, I said, man, I'm just not feeling it anymore. This isn't good. It's like, it's not good right now. He's like, oh man, all right. Well, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna call her. Right? I'm gonna call her. And no, I text her.
You broke up.
I text her. Yes, that's what I was going with. I text her, and she called me, and she was so mad. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I gotta go. Just not gonna work. It's not working out. That was just an immature, kind of rude way to do it. But
I will admit that, you know, I've quit jobs and, you know, you put in your 2-week notice and I pretty much didn't show up to work much.
Yeah.
But the reason why I asked, I'm serving, that's a legit story, and I hear that amongst my students frequently.
Mm-hmm.
But I was surfing the internet a while back, and I ran across this website basically called thepowerofpositivity.com.
Mm.
And in there, they were talking about, the article was titled 10 Questions to Ask Yourself Before Ending a Relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got thinking, how many times do we really self-analyze the value of a relationship that we're in? And, a lot of times when you think of relationship, you go to what you just did.
Yeah.
A girl you just dated, or people you've dated, people, in our case, people we were married to. But I think relationships can go beyond that. I think they could be a work relationship because wherever you work, you have a relationship there.
Right. Yeah.
You have friends that you're with. And sometimes you got to walk away from friends because maybe they aren't the quality of friends that you think they are.
Yeah.
So they had a top 10 or a 10 question list. And I thought that it might be worth exploring if you're up for it.
Yeah, I've been there in all those areas, whether it's a friendship, a work relationship, an intimate relationship. Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it. I'm sure we have some personal experiences
to share.
Some more, actually.
All right. Well, the first one says, does this relationship bring out the best in me? And I think that's a valuable question because I have been friends with people that looking back, I'm going, yeah, that wasn't they did not do that.
Yeah.
Even my marriage, the first one, absolutely did not bring out the best in me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a valuable question. Because it says here, if the person drags you down, brings out negative emotions in you, or just doesn't fulfill your needs and desires, then you really need to stop and ask yourself, where's this headed?
Right.
And again, that works same way. I was working the very first school I was teaching at here in Texas. It was a dead-end job.
Mm.
I was not going to go anywhere. There wasn't more responsibility. I was going to teach what I was teaching, and that was it. And it was kind of like, I'm going nowhere fast. It was not a good work relationship for me.
Yeah.
Now, I had fun. I enjoyed the kids. I learned a lot. But I wasn't going to grow professionally if I stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. That's number one. Does a relationship bring out the best in me? So the answer to that is, if the answer is no, well, might be time to move on.
Might be time to move on.
All right. Number two, do I feel happy or upset the majority of the time? What do you think?
What do I think?
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking me the question?
Well, what do you think about that as a question to ask when deciding if a relationship is good for you?
Do I feel happy or upset the majority of the time? Is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
I think that's a valid question.
I was hoping for more.
Are you upset right now?
Yeah, man, I need to reevaluate this relationship here.
I'm not bringing the best out of you.
No, because they're talking about how much do you like? I will admit that this has been probably, of all the years I've been teaching, that's been over 20, the school year, while having been very stressful, the coworkers I had, for the almost exclusively made me happy most of the time. We laughed a lot, we joked a lot, we cut up a lot, and that was fine.
Right.
And so if you're in a relationship, and you and I, we joke around a lot. We have a pretty good time, teasing each other. And that, that's a positive. But they're saying here that, if it's bringing you down. In fact, they quoted this Dr. Mark White. He says you should never stay in a relationship just because you feel you should, out of a sense of obligation. I can tell you the number of times in the divorce group I heard people say, "Well, I'm staying. We should have gotten divorced 20 years ago, but we stayed together for the kids."
Right.
Well, I don't know. There's arguments on both sides to be made for that. But if you don't feel happy, he says, you have every right and responsibility actually to disclose these feelings to your partner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unhappy at work, talk to your boss. Say, boss, hey. If you're whatever your relationship is, talk to them. If it isn't what you think it should be, have a conversation.
Yeah. But what's the reality though of that? Because fear is so gripping that people never say anything, and then they end up in a just a terrible
position. Well, I mean, I gotta say, I have frequently stayed in the friend zone when I didn't want to stay in the friend zone because I was afraid to have that conversation.
Right.
And I wished I had.
Right.
So I think that if you're not happy with the direction of the relationship, then talk. And if it's meant to be something better, then it'll move forward.
So how do you, if a listener right now is struggling in this capacity and they're like, oh my gosh, this is me. Because you know what? Here, Rod, here's the deal. So whether we know it or not, this is speaking in our podcasts. It might speak to one or it might speak to all directly. So for the person who's dealing with this, how do you approach this? How do you have that conversation when you're bound by those shackles of fear?
Here's the thing. No relationship is perfect.
Correct.
And you're not going to be walking on clouds the whole time. Okay, but if you are, it is hard to have the courage to have what could be an uncomfortable conversation. But my guess is, based on years of experience and talking with so many people, especially through the divorce, is if you just, odds are they feel the same way that you do. And so by having this conversation, you're bringing it out into the open, and you can address it, and you can fix it if you can. If both parties are going, oh man, I was feeling the same way, you can then go, do you want to fix this or not?
Right.
And while it is a crappy thing to have, and it is hard, super hard, because for the most part, we tend to avoid that which we don't like.
Right.
But if you can have the courage to have that conversation, then whether short term or long term, you're going to have something positive come out of it. I mean, if the relationship ends, okay, but it was probably headed down the path of death and destruction anyway.
Right.
So jump ship while you still can. Or the opposite is, the other person is going to say, you know what, I'm with you. I'm not liking where this is headed, and let's work together to make it better.
Right.
I mean, if you're unhappy at work and your boss is saying, hey, this isn't working for me either. Either you both part ways, or you figure out, well, let's see what we can do. If you can make, you as the employee say, hey, can we make these minor changes? The employer can say, hey, yeah, we can make these minor changes.
Right.
Let's see how that works. If you're in the, a friend relationship or an intimate partner relationship, same kinds of things. If it's not working, talk.
Right.
If you don't talk about it, I mean, I have said many times, if I don't know something's broken, how can I fix it? So tell me what's wrong. I know something's wrong. I can feel something's wrong. I can see something's wrong. So let's talk about it. And that's kind of what they're saying. Talk.
Right.
Talk. If you're not happy, then what are you doing to try and make it a relationship that you can deal with?
Right. Well, and hopefully, thank you. First of all, thank you for answering. I thought that was very well said. And just to kind of piggyback on that, hopefully you're, and I know a lot of times it's not, right? You get to that point where it's done, right? Because you haven't said anything, and you both maybe you've built up so much bitterness and resentment, and now that prevents you from moving in a positive direction. And so, I would add that, don't worry so much on what could potentially go wrong. Focus on, what could positively happen by having that conversation. In an intimate relationship, it should be one of the values or things. The foundational thing should be communication, and then you should always be communicating, whether it's going to make someone upset or not. Have the conversation and work through it. Hopefully, you're both in a loving, respectful, a partnership, whatever, right? A relationship that you want to move the needle in the right direction.
Yeah.
And if it's work, hopefully you're in a place where your employer says, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you were unhappy. How can I help to fix this? And if you don't get that kind of response, and that tells you
right there
the level of care they have for you. And a lot of times, unfortunately, you're saddened with a no response or a negative response to that, because if you're working, your boss, the leadership should recognize that and do what they can, because you have value, you're providing value to that company, and if you don't get that kind of love and care, then
and that ties right in with the third point, which is, are you having to sacrifice more than you should? Because if you're investing more than the other person, than the other side, then just how healthy of a relationship it is. So yes, if you're talking about work and you're working your fingers to the bone and they're going, can you do more? Can you do more?
Right.
And not saying, oh man, we so appreciate you. And by the way, we're going to, you know what? Hey, we're going to count, instead of making you take, I see you got a day off coming up. Instead of vacation time, we'll call it comp time, because we know how much time you've been working.
Right.
Or maybe you get more overtime, or, if you're hourly paid, or maybe a promotion, or whatever it might be. Again, if you're in a relationship that you're giving more than you're receiving, then it's time to, again, take stock. Look at what's going on.
Right.
I mean, I got to tell you, when I was married the first time, Eric's mother she didn't want to go deal with my family. She didn't want to engage with them. And so I was frequently having to make excuses why we couldn't go, why we couldn't be there. I mean, it was horrible. It was making me angry, and I felt like, my gosh, I'm sacrificing. I couldn't see and talk to certain people because she didn't like them.
Right.
And so I felt like, well, wait a minute. And then she would say, oh, well, if you want to go, that's fine, but Eric stays here. And I'm going, well, he has a right to see extended family, and extended family have a right to see and know him. Well, I'm sorry, no. If you want to go, but you ain't taking Eric. And so I'm going, fine, I won't go, because we all go or we don't go at all. And so I was having to sacrifice. And I didn't like it, but I was cowardly and I did not challenge. And once we finally get into the challenging stage, well, by that time it was divorce, and we were too far down towards any correction.
Right.
So I think that's a valid point, as you were making there. You shouldn't be putting in a significant more than your partner.
Right.
Whether friendship partner, work partner, intimate partner, it's work. Relationships are work.
Yeah.
It's not all fun and games, but it shouldn't be that you're making all the sacrifices and they are making none.
Well, I would say, I would add, for an extended period of time. I think we all go through seasons, because I can tell you right now that I've been carrying way more of the load around our house. And trying not to become bitter and not view it that way, because I know what my wife is going through.
Sure.
So having a little bit more bandwidth, having some more empathy, having some more knowledge behind what a person goes through, and able to pick up on red flags, if you will. You're going to go through seasons where you might have to carry the load. But I think if that's like if that's a consistent over years and years, then something's wrong. right? Or if it's there isn't, you go through a season, and a season could be a month, a season could be 2 months. Who knows, right? But you just need to evaluate that and pay attention, be mindful of that, in my opinion. But for a long period, if you recognize that.
How about this? How about this as a measuring stick? If the other person doesn't pull their own weight and make you feel special and wanted, then you probably ought to go separate ways. Could you do that?
Yeah.
Because that ties in, and these all kind of flow together. All right. But the next one is, do you share the same passions and goals for the future? And I got to say, but I think that's why, when you have friends at different stages of your life that aren't friends later, friends that you had in high school, really don't, once you're out of high school, you go separate ways. You don't stay that level of friend. As you grow, as you mature, as you live life, things change. Same way with work. When I was first working, I just wanted money.
Right.
Now I want professional growth. Well, if me and, the school are in alignment with what we think is important, then we're going to keep working well together. But if we divert too far, well, then I'm going to go a different direction. And they know that. Again, that's relationship. You work together. You have a common set of goals for what you want. And as long as you do, great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was one of the things that ultimately came between Eric's mom and I. We had two different ideas of what family should look like.
Yeah.
And so, anyway. All right, are you ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right. Are you fighting more than you're laughing?
That's a good one.
Relationships are not all sunshine and daffodils.
Yeah.
And so you're right. When you sometimes you got to carry the load, and that's fine. But are you carrying the load to avoid fights?
Yeah.
Because there were many times when I was married to Eric's mom that I avoided fights. And because I would make a lot of sacrifices to avoid a fight, because we had truly developed different goals in where we were going and what we thought should happen. So anyway,
yeah.
Are you laughing a lot? Sherry and I laugh a lot. I don't think we fight nowhere near like what I did with Eric's mom. And our fights aren't really fights. It's more of I misunderstood what she said.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our share of disagreements, just like any other marriage. But yeah.
Well, here's a thought for this point, for this number 5. Keep company of those who ignite the light within your soul, not those who put a damper on your spirit. So again, it goes back to that. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down?
Yeah.
All right. Number 6 in our list of 10. Do you make time for one another? Do you have time, quiet time? This might be a little tougher at work.
What does quiet time mean?
Well, you have 2 toddlers, so you don't. And you got a teenager on top of that, so no, you don't. But do you make time for one another? Like you and I, we'll go and hang out.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do something that doesn't always relate to the podcast. For Sherry and I, we'll go out on dates, and we'll just spend, an evening together. We'll go to the movies. The other day we both took off the same day from work and we played hooky. We went to the movies. We went out to lunch. Went to H-E-B, which to me is kind of fun. But we make time for one another. And so that helps strengthen the relationship. But I will tell you that when I was with Eric's mom, we didn't make time. She didn't. I'm too busy. We don't have time. We don't have the money. We don't.
Right.
And so we weren't investing. I call this the bank account kind of question.
Yeah.
Relationships are a bank account. And when you make more deposits into your relationship bank account than you do withdrawals, you have a strong relationship.
Yeah.
Well, I think this making time for one another is kind of that balanced check. Are you investing in your relationship or are you not?
Yeah.
Again, sometimes, and for me at work, a lot of times this comes down to what is the school doing? Does the school give us a good Christmas party? Does the school recognize all the different things that we do? So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So that's number 6. Number 7, because I just looked at how much time we have. Number 7, do I really love him or her or just the person I want to be? And I thought that was kind of an interesting question because that's more of a self-reflection.
Yeah.
But what do we, are we saying we love this person? Are we saying we love this job?
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. Am I spitting in the wind on this?
No, I think it's kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Do I really love them or work? Right, that what you said?
Yeah.
Or job or just the person that, yeah, I would, I think it's funny because I think sometimes, maybe a lot of times, you get into a relationship and the other person tries to change them, like their goal is to change you or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny. But
do they change you into something? Because I changed. The person that I was when I was married to Eric's mother, I realized I don't like that person.
Yeah, I honestly, yeah, I heard that from family members, probably some close friends as well, that you act differently. You're not acting like the Bryce that we know.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can look back, yeah, there's probably some validity there, but
no, and I think that's legit.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. Sorry. Number 8. Would I regret it later if I didn't end the relationship today? Basically, 5 years from now, and the relationship is still the exact same way it is today. How are you going to feel about that?
Yeah.
Are you going to be happy or are you going to be sad? And I think it's kind of a good measuring stick.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that are unfortunately in that situation. Regret just consumes them.
Well, and I think that's why I like this as an option to explore and evaluate.
Right.
Because it is tough to end a relationship. I hate looking for a new job. New jobs or looking for a job and looking for a new place to live are my least favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll put up with a lot of crap, but at some point you reach am I putting up with more than I really should?
Right.
And so I think this is a self-evaluation kind of question of, if things don't change, how am I going to feel 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to wish, man, I should have made that change or not?
Right. And then that was 5 years of my life I'll never get back.
And I think that's why they put that on here.
Yeah.
All right. So number 9. All right. When deciding if this is a good relationship or not, do they add value to your life?
Yeah.
So do they enhance your life? Do they add color and vibrancy?
Yeah.
Or do they suck the life out of you and leave you uninspired?
Are they energy vampires? This is something that I talk about, in our leadership group at church. As leaders, one of your goals is to add value to others.
Uh-huh.
And so I try and do this. So it's important to also recognize the company that you keep, right? Are they doing that? Are they adding value in some form or fashion? Because I think that is ultimately what relationship doesn't matter is about. Are you a lifter or are you a weight? Are you adding value
Mm-hmm.
Are you devaluing the person? Are you helping that person meet their unique goals, for what they want in life?
Mm-hmm.
And so this to me is an important one. Not only do I teach on it, I try and model it, and I try and pay attention. Is this person adding value to me? So if I'm lost just staring at you, I'm thinking, is Rod adding value to my life?
I hope the answer
Yes,
is...
the answer is always yes.
Well, and again,
I'll be quick to respond yes to this to you, and I hope that I add value to your life as well. But again, going back to what we said before, we get so busy and wrapped up in the busyness of life and this and that and all this and rat-a-tat-tat. We end up at the one before, regret.
And life,
we only have one life to live. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, but also are adding value to you and helping you grow.
Lift you up.
Yes. So, why don't say, okay, this is it. This is my lot in life. This is who I'm going to be with, even though they don't do anything for me. No, that's not how we were designed, right? And social media does a good job of not adding value to people.
Well, that's a whole other issue I have with. But I like, again, having you assess that question. All right, so the last one in this list of 10. What would my life be like without them? And I think I like this question. In fact, I was at a wedding of a very good friend of mine many years ago, and I was the preacher in the sermon. He said, you don't marry somebody you can live with. You marry somebody you can't live without.
Right.
And it smacked me square between the eyes, and that's what made me realize I didn't want to live a life without Sherry. And so, because I've said for years, I'm never getting married again, never getting married
again.
Right. And I said it'll be a cold day in hell when I get married again. Well,
hell froze over.
It did, because we celebrate our 7 years here in a few weeks.
Wow, is that 7 years ago? My goodness.
Exactly, and that's the kind of the point of a relationship. What would your life be without them? Whether it's, again, the job, the friendship, the intimate relationship, what would your life be without them? And if you're going, it would be the worst thing ever, then you've got a pretty good relationship. Right. If you're going, well, let's see, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, you go, well, then maybe you're not in a good relationship.
Right. Well, and going back to what you said in the beginning, that first of all, no human being is perfect. Relationships, whether it be work or intimate or friendship, those are not perfect. Okay, you're gonna hit some speed bumps along the way on your journey through your relationship. But that's part of it. That's if you respond appropriately and respectfully and lovingly, you both, whatever it is, you both grow from that, and you come out on the other side stronger. But it takes a lot of kind of going back to what before, awareness, mindfulness. Again, this is good, and I think there's so many people in a relationship that are just paralyzed, from everything that's gone on, and they can't move. They don't know how to, and they're stuck in something that they're unhappy, and
And that's kind of the point. And that's why I liked when I saw this website and these 10 points, that I think it's valuable. Because how many times have I got to admit, I have been in dead-end jobs that I didn't like. I've been in friendships with people that actually sucked me down rather than lifted me up. and I was in a bad marriage. I knew I didn't like it, but I think that I had these 10 questions to explore. It might not have gone on as long as it did.
Right.
And it might have ended a little differently than it did.
Mm.
So, anyway, I will say that with these 10, I think you do. You lift me up. You make me feel good about myself. We laugh a lot. And I enjoy, that's why we've been friends for, ever since the Christmas party of 2012.
2012. That's 12, 10? What are we? That would be 11 years.
It would.
It would be 11 years.
So, thank you.
That back then, I did not see you in my future.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like a bad penny. Can't get rid of me. So, but anyway, well.
All right.
That's all I got for today from my folksy wisdom here.
Oh, man, it's good. We all need it. We appreciate it. And we thank you for speaking it.
All right. Well, in that case, then I'm going to foresee myself getting out of your hair. And until next time.
Until next time.
I'm Rod.
I'm Bryce.
See ya.